Akshay, did you always knew what you wanted to do when you passed out from MBA?
I was all over the place. Saurabh, what about you?
यार मेरे को तो तब भी आइडिया नहीं था, आज भी आइडिया नहीं है.
Confused about your career choices? Wondering what steps to take next? In this podcast called Beyond Campus, Saurabh Garg, founder of C4E, and Akshay Dutt, founder of Unnati, are on a mission to crack open the career success code for the youth. वो बचपन में कहते थे ना, तुम जो चाहे बन सकते हो. So, let's turn the dream into reality.
Hey, I'm Meghna. I'm the founder and CEO of StyleDotMe. I'm a graphic designer turned entrepreneur and built one of the first AR tech platforms for the jewelry industry called Mirrar that is being used by more than 150 jewelers in India.
Although she wished to paint the world red, white, green, and blue, it seemed as if the Almighty had other plans for her. Meghna started it all by stepping into the world of graphic designing, but she later decided to start a fashion social network after realizing that women take quite some time in deciding what exactly should they wear. After many twists and turns, she ended up creating the perfect SaaS product for the pandemic, a solution that allows jewelry retailers to do contactless selling. This time on Beyond Campus, we have with us the CEO and founder of StyleDotMe, Meghna Saraogi, who's changing the future of jewelry shopping using augmented reality technology.
So, Meghna, let's start with your origin story. You grew up in Indore. Tell me, what was that like?
So, yeah, I grew up in Indore and I did my schooling there. I always wanted to be someone like, M.F.Hussain, because when I was growing up, I had this huge inclination towards painting. I would, even during my exams, I would hide my copies and try and sketch and paint. So I always thought that probably I'll grow up and become a great painter. But then, I think life changed.
So then what happened to that dream of being a painter by the time you were becoming a teenager and beyond?
So I also explored what are the other things that people can do, and one of the things that was really hitting me hard was that there were only there were very few people like a M.F. Hussain whose painting would get sold as a crazy price. And I've always been someone who want to create value, and I was constantly thinking that okay, I'm great at paintings, but what can I do out of it that'll be helpful, or that'll turn into a business. And that is when I was explored or exposed to graphic designing. My another inspiration was Mr. Piyush Pandey, who is from Ogilvy and Mathur, and then I started studying him, and that is when I decided to not do painting, but to take up graphic design. So I joined College of Arts, which had both the courses of painting and graphic designing. So in my first year, I get to study both of it, and then I get to decide what do I want to do. So that is how I picked graphic
Okay, as
design.
the more practical choice.
I also realized people were making more money in graphic design.
Okay. So, what next after College of Arts? During College of Arts, anything of note?
So no, I wasn't one of those bright students. Like, in Indore, I thought, wow, like everyone used to think that she's like a genius. But when I went to College of Arts, I realized that, okay, there are like many, many more people who do far more superior work than I do. But still, I survived. I was doing pretty decent. I think I also realized that a college, especially because of College of Art, it gives you an exposure of painting, sculpture, graphic design, all of it together. One thing that I personally felt was missing was getting more used to technology. And by that, I mean softwares that would let you create, real world projects. So I felt that I needed to study more. And that is when I applied to Srishti, which is a design school in Bangalore. And I got through Srishti.
So, the reason to go to Srishti was to hone your skills as a graphic designer using modern software.
Yes, and also I think a larger exposure, because the only two colleges that every design student wants to go is NID or then Srishti, and I did not get through NID, to be honest.
Okay.
And I went to Srishti, and I also realized the kind of exposure you get in Srishti is beyond words. Like it was literally like unlearning and then learning. So everything I learned in College of Art, I think I had to unlearn all of it to adapt Srishti in myself. So yeah, I think it was a great exposure there.
What is studying at Srishti like? I mean, is it like a residential 2-year program kind of a thing like you would imagine in a B school, or is it very different from that?
So I went as a direct student. So there are two programs where you can join just after school and do your foundation and direct entry, like the whole specialization there. But because I had done College of Art, I was taken in the direct entry course. It was a 2-year course, so it was we did not get a degree of post graduation, but it was a diploma. I think what Srishti changed was the way I would look at things. There were people, there were faculties who would come from different parts of the world to teach us. Like I still remember there was a course on hibernation, and you just
Okay.
had to sleep, and it was so fascinating. I was like, what are we going to achieve out of it? And then we learned certain things which the outside world does not teach you. Yeah, I think kind of I grew up.
How is a design school different from, let's say, a business school?
So I haven't been to a business school, so I don't think I can differentiate that. But in design school, I think the biggest differentiator is because we are all creative minds. Especially in the second year, what I realized that there were no hours. Like we used to be in a campus which used to be open 24/7, and I still remember having probably 3 or 4 nights in a row working in college in that campus, and we would just like club 3 4 chairs together and take a nap. It's said that creativity can come anytime. So I think that whole idea and the way you execute and things, there was no timing. So there are days when you would be just so unproductive, but suddenly something strikes and then you're doing all your work. So I think that was a differentiator. Marks and your grades weren't as important, especially for me, because I think it is more of how do you adapt, how creative can you be, and how can you communicate what someone is trying to do or say in the most creative way. I think the biggest differentiator is the creativity part.
Does it have that approach similarity, like lectures, project work, like that kind of an academic rigor to it, or is it more of like a journey of self discovery where it's not so structured and you're allowed to explore and figure out, and what is it like?
So it's a combination of both. Of course, we had lectures, we had projects, and we had deadlines. But at the same time, like we were on our own, and there were a lot of courses that actually let you discover yourself. Because unless you discover yourself and your surrounding, you can't get creative and you can't communicate in the most creative way. Yeah, it was a combination of both. Like, there were times when we even did films and we shot a couple of things, and so it's something that you get to choose. And also because Srishti is a very progressive college, I think it gave us a lot of liberty to discover ourselves, choose what we want to do, and the faculties which would actually help us execute them. So it was definitely a combination of both.
Okay. And so, which year did you pass out of Shrishti?
2009, yeah.
So, was there like a campus placement scene there, or like what did you do next?
It's pretty interesting. One of my faculty who used to come in the same bus, Rustam, I was just talking to him and I was exploring internship. It was last year of our college, and Rustam told me that, hey, do you want to go to Delhi? And I was like, yeah, why not? And he said, look, I know this designer who is extremely amazing with her work, and you'll get to learn a lot from her. Just that she's got like this really short temper. Like she's extremely short temper. So will you be able to handle it? And I was a little scared, but I said, okay, let's do it. So Rustam connected me to my boss, ex-box boss, I would call now, Akhila. And I went and did my first internship with her. So while I was doing my internship, she also offered me a diploma project. So in Srishti, your final project is supposed to be a diploma project. It can be a sponsored or it's something that you do it on your own. Akhila offered me a diploma project, which very few people get to have because if it's all sponsored, then you don't have to pay for it. So after internship, I went to Akhila for the diploma project, and it just became very obvious that I'm going to be working with her. So I actually did not have to, find any job. So Srishti does not have a placement cell, but it just connects you to various design firms.
Mm-hmm.
So that is how I got connected with my.
So, what did you do with Akila?
So I worked with her for a couple of years after I joined her. So as I just told you that during my internship, which was for 5 weeks, I think every day I used to be scared that probably she'll throw a table or a chair because that's what I was told. It did not happen. And it turned out she was one of the nicest person. I mean, she is short-tempered and she would scream and shout once in a while, but I haven't met a better designer, a better person than her. So that is the reason when I took her diploma project, it was a very interesting project. I was working on cyber security and the whole fact that how teenagers get so addicted to online chatting that they share a lot of information to a person who's totally unknown. So I created this whole fake wallpaper which had a chat window that would more like a it was more like a chatting interface where a person get hooked and start chatting to a stranger, but later it tells them that, oh, I was just a screensaver, but these are the information you've shared. So I think this was one of the most interesting projects I did with Akhila. Post that, I started working, on regular projects. I used to design magazines, annual reports, branding, brochures, literally everything.
So Akila ran a design agency. She would take work from corporates.
Yes, yes. She ran a design agency and she would work with some of the really big corporates.
Okay. So couple of years you spent with her. Then what made you want to move on?
As you now just heard, I came from Indore to Delhi, then I went to Bangalore, then I again went back to Delhi. One thing that I constantly felt about myself was the fact that I had terrible design sense. I had terrible style sense. And, when I used to see people decked up in Delhi, I used to feel a little like I used to have that inferiority complex. That's why whenever I would go shopping, especially in the trial rooms, I would take my pictures and send it to my friends, asking them whether it looks good on me or not. And this was like a very frustrating experience because every time your friends are not on WhatsApp to reply to you. And over the period of time, I realized that it wasn't just me. Like everyone needs a validation of how they look. I also did a study and some research, and I figured out that on an average, a woman spends 1 year of her life just deciding what to wear. The whole idea was to build a product, a platform where people can get instant fashion advice. And I was constantly, sitting on it, thinking about it, and I wanted to launch it. But because I was from Srishti, I was getting a decent paycheck. So it was quite a challenge for me to take that jump and say, okay, one day I'll leave everything and start this. So that's how the whole idea came because I was an insecure, person in terms of my style and my fashion. And I just thought probably a platform like StyleDotMe now would help not just me, but lot of other women like.
So what was the original idea that you started with, and how did you actually get it off the ground?
The original idea was this to have a platform where people can get instant fashion advice from their friends and family and fashion experts around the world. I was a very lazy person, so I would only think about it day and night, but I would not do anything about it. Also, you know how people start daydreaming. So I would just dream of having a tech company one day. I didn't know how to do it because I'm not a techie, I'm not a coder. I've never done business. How to start was one of the biggest challenge. And I think because of that challenge, I kept sitting on it for very long. Unless one day, a very close friend of mine, I was just telling him, yeah, someday I hope I'll be able to do it. And he said, why are you even wasting your time thinking about it? Because you're so lazy, I don't think you'll ever do it. And I think that hit me hard. And I've realized that about myself now that when people tell me that I can't do something, I will do whatever it takes to prove them wrong. So that was the point when I realized, okay, I'm going to do it whatever it takes. And Akhila had a huge contribution to this because when I told her the idea, how otherwise your employer or your boss can be when they feel that, oh, you're diverting to something else, they'll probably demotivate you. But when I told this to her, her first question was, are you waiting for a panditji to come and break like a coconut to start it? What are you waiting for? And I was like, yeah, you're right, literally nothing. So, because I was thinking about this whole idea for so long, I literally had everything in my head that how I wanted it. But just that I've never put it down. So my first step was that I put down everything that I had on my head. The second thing was that I did not know what to do and how to start. I think I got lucky and I was damn lucky because During that time, I was also designing annual reports for InfoEdge, which is the parent company of Naukri.com. And I had met Mr. Sanjeev Bikhchandani a couple of times during our meetings for annual reports. So my first step wasn't because, after meeting him so many times, I had learned a lot about him. I also knew that he's someone who's very passionate about also helping young entrepreneurs. So my first step was to write him an email saying, "Hey, I'm your, graphic designer who designs your annual reports, and this is what I want to do. Can I meet you?" Luckily, because I was the designer, he agreed to meet me. And when I showed him the whole thing that I had on my mind, he said, "This sounds great. Like, I think it's a good idea, but how can I help you?" And sometimes you don't even know how you want help. You don't, because you don't know the next step, right? So if I knew something, I can ask for help in that way. So I did not know that. So I told him, "Look, I am not a techie. I don't know how to code. I don't come from a business family. So I don't know how to even run a business. I don't know how I'm going to do it. I just know one thing for sure, that I will make it happen. The only thing I need from you is to be my mentor and just, guide me and help me through this whole journey." And he said, "Okay, done." And I was like just looking at him and wondering that did he just say yes? Yeah, like when someone as influential, as Sanjeev says, agrees to be your mentor, it just motivates you to another level to, like, reach the sky. So yeah, this is how I just started. This is how I.
So, I mean, tell me, how did a person agreeing to mentor you at an idea stage, how did that eventually reach to a place where you launched your idea? And did you launch it as the original idea, or even before launch you pivoted?
No, before launch, I did not pivot. So I launched it as an original idea. I came back to Indore to launch my product because I could not afford to spend a lot of money in Delhi because I quit my job. And Sanjeev, as he promised, he stood by it. Even today, he's someone I can reach out to whenever I'm stuck wherever. And he guided me how should I get people to program, code, etc.
So you went to Indore with the idea that you'll make app, a mobile app or something, which would allow people to.
Yes. So idea was to make a mobile app that people can download and put their pictures and ask people to either dot it or not it. So you like it or you don't like it, or you can choose between the two things. So that was the idea. 4 years back, Indore wasn't so progressive when it comes to startups. My friends were like, "Are you crazy? Are you really going to leave your job to start a startup? Like, what does that even mean?" And so after getting all these, backfires from your friends, a little bit from family, I was very clear that what I want to do. I got a couple of people, freelancers, etc., to build the first product. It started getting some traction, and then at that point, one of the person who's recently become like a mentor, he connected me to Indian Angel Network, and he also became my lead investor. That's how I went back to Indore, built the whole first product, launched it, did it MVP, started working on that, and raised some funds from Indian Angel Network.
How much was the first fundraise, and how long after starting did you do your first fundraise?
It took me almost a year after I started, and the first fundraise was of 25 lakhs.
So this fundraise happened after you launched an app and you had users using it and all that.
Yes, it had very, very few users. It had around 2-3 thousand downloads, and it had around 50-60 influencers or bloggers on the platform. So yeah, after that I launched it. But at that point, see, what amount of money comes wasn't so important to me than that I have some money, because I was doing all of this alone. I did not have a team. The biggest challenge was that when you're doing a tech startup, everyone is looking for a tech co-founder or a techie, right?
Right.
Basically, everyone had told me that you can't raise funds unless you have a tech co-founder. And because people were like putting so much pressure on my head, and I used to hear this everywhere. Remember, I told you that when people tell me I can't do it, I will find a way to do it. It was more of a zeal because I knew that I believed in what I was doing. Even the first version of the product wasn't as bad. It would solve the basic functionality and everything, because I was introduced by B Hari to IN. And then there were a couple of investors who agreed to become my leads. So yeah, I mean, I think these investors, I'm still very grateful for them to them. But they just saw the passion and the vision I had. Having a team or a co-founder or anything wasn't a challenge.
Okay. So when did you get a tech co-founder in then? Because I do believe you have a co-founder as on date.
Yes. So again, I think it's one of the most interesting story I have with StyleDotMe. And so, when I was doing that first MVP version in Indore, I got a designer to design the app. I was just talking to this designer before moving to Delhi, because after the fundraising, I moved back to Delhi. And I was just asking, if you know someone who can help me code, and I need to now have a full-time tech team. So this designer Vikas, who was working with Wedme Good at that time, he suddenly told me, I don't have anyone in mind, but otherwise I have someone in mind who is so amazing that he'll never join you. I was like, what does that even mean? And he said, no, I know this person, and in my 10 years of experience, I haven't found a better coder, but he will not join you. And I was extremely curious to know that why is he constantly saying he will not join you. Then he told me because he's just finished his school and he's joined college. And I was like, oh my god, who is this person? And then I was introduced to Akhil Tulani, who's now my co-founder and CTO. Akhil started coding when he was 9, and he sold a company in $100,000 when he was 15 years old. At 18, when I met him, he was the lead developer at Wedme Good, and by then he had worked on more than 25 projects. So, when initially Vikas told me about Akhil, I thought, okay, probably I'll get him, to do it as a part-time project or be my intern or something. But when I spoke to Akhil, one thing that totally changed my perception was that age is just a number. And at 18, that guy he knew what he was doing. He knew what his value was. And he knew that he can do work far more better than any other, developer with 10, 20, 30, whatever X number of experiences. So that is how I was introduced to Akhil. Obviously, I could not pay the salary that even to match what he was earning at that point. So when I first offered him, he refused. I was a little upset because, I was literally dying to find a tech team, and here I had like the most amazing developer who refused to work with me. So I told him, okay, fine, if you don't want to work, don't work. Let's have coffee and let's discuss life. So I still remember meeting him at Cafe Coffee Day, at Regal Building where our office used to be at Innovate. And I asked Akhil, I said, tell me in a lifetime how much will you earn? And we were just discussing that, okay, probably. So he was earning more than 2.5 lakhs a month. And I was like, okay, at some point probably you'll earn 25 lakhs a month, or whatever, a crore, 10 crores a month. But will you be able to, or would you want to build something on your own that will change the way people shop? And I'm not looking at a Indian market, I'm talking about a global market and a global industry. And I think what changed Akhil's decision immediately that evening was the fact that he became as passionate, and he started seeing in the same way, where he wanted to be a part of a journey that will change lives and that will create a huge impact on the world. So that is how Akhil joined.
Okay. And he joined after the fundraiser had happened?
Yes, he joined after the fundraise.
Okay. Okay. So when did the pivot happen and what was the reason for it?
So we got a decent team to work on the product, and we were working on getting acquiring customers. So considering our product was B2C, the only thing that everyone looks is the stickiness. The MAU, the DAUs, etc. What I realized was that firstly, we did not had like crores of rupees to spend on marketing. Second was organically, it wasn't growing to a level we wanted it to grow. And thirdly, I strongly felt that the market was not ready to adapt to something as cool as that. That's how I'll put it actually now. But yeah, I think we were too early for the market. And so that's what constantly made us think what we need to do. Also, we were running short of cash. So we were trying to raise funds, and we were in fact on a reality show where we were offered some money. We couldn't take it for some reason, and post that for almost 4 months we could not raise funds. I did not have money to pay salary.
Tell me about this reality show thing?
It was pretty interesting. This reality show was The Vault, which was an Indian version of Shark Tank. And Akhil and I were, we just got an opportunity to pitch on the show, and we did it, and we were offered 2 crores on the show, which for some reason we had to refuse, because I felt that it wouldn't be right to our existing investors, and that was the reason, we just said no. But it was like a huge decision, because you are on national television, like there are thousands of people looking at you. So taking that call was tough, and post that we could not raise funds for almost 5 months. And I think as an entrepreneur, one of the most important thing for you is to be sleeping with a peaceful mind when you know that at least you are able to pay salaries and take care of your basic expenses. So I couldn't pay salaries, we couldn't pay rent, and it was literally like a do or die situation for us. So either we had to find a solution to keep running, or we would had to shut down after a few more months. I think our existing investors, the lead investors especially, were extremely helpful, because I still remember Amrish Raghuvanshi, who's our lead, one of our leads. He told me that we believe in you. Why to make you go through this tough time? And then four of us, so we had four lead investors. Four of us decided to give us some money as CCD. We got some breather, and that was the time when we were exploring augmented reality. Because of Snapchat and Instagram, I think AR took like a very prominent place in people's life. Like everyone you would see with doggy filters, right? So I was like, if we put this to real business, this can be a huge opportunity. We started building on lipsticks and lenses. So as a female, it's very difficult to put on a lipstick shade and realize, oh shit, it doesn't look good on my face, and then wipe it
Right.
off and then put it again. So imagine if you can just see what lipstick shades work best for you, it's going to be amazing. So that's how we started. And just then I was in Indore, where my mom took me for, like, she wanted to buy some jewelry. Every store that I would go to, people would show us, apart from these limited inventory or limited designs that they have, they would show us catalogs, they would show us pictures on WhatsApp. And I was like, how does one decide or realize whether it's looking good or not? That was like a life turning moment, I would call. I realized, I did some research, and I realized that because jewelry is such a capital intensive industry, it's extremely challenging for jewelers to keep a lot of inventory or even scale in terms of stores. So how about a product that will let people try on jewelry without wearing it? And when I did research, I realized that everyone else working on AR, especially in jewelry, were working either with static images or instruction based technology. As a consumer, I hate taking instructions. Like, forget consumer, as a person, everyone hates taking instructions. So we focused on building a product which works seamlessly. So now today, the product is called Mirrar. It's in fact world's first real-time AR tech for jewelry. So you just have to bring your face in front of it, and it snaps your face. You can try on thousands of jewelry without wearing it.
Okay, so you thought that there was a use case for it, but how did you get validation that what you're thinking is actually something which can help you build a business?
So one of the first clients that we had was PC Jeweler, and we had a common connect who introduced me to the owner of PC Jeweler, Mr. Balram Garg. When I showed him or spoke about my idea to him, his first reaction was, "Since 5 years, I'm looking for something like this. Where have you been all this time?" And I was like, wow. So the validation came
Okay.
because one brand which was a very prominent brand in India, which is in fact the owner says that, okay, I've been looking for it, and he was willing to pay us. So we actually we did a pilot with them, and we got paid for it. So I believe that when someone is ready to pay for your work or for what you've built, I think that itself is a big validation.
So you went to PC Jewelers after building the product, or when it was still an idea?
It was an idea, and we did like a very small MVP. We went to them with a minimal viable product, something that we probably built in a month's time.
Okay. So this was like one of many bets you were taking, or you thought, okay, let's do this only?
So I believe something very strongly that if you focus on one thing, just focus on it. I wasn't betting on multiple things. Our team was totally focused, because for some reason, and sometimes I believe a lot in intuitions and this whole power of universe. So for some reason, I had a huge conviction that this is going to work. So we were
Hmm.
actually
Okay.
putting all our bets on this. Like my entire team would work day and night just to ensure that we have the best product. And uh, me coming from a design background helped like a greater extent, because even if there is a 1 mm difference, I would not accept it. So, I think that made our product far more superior than any other product that existed in the industry, globally, that too. So, yeah, we spent a lot of time, energy on this product, and I think it paid off really well, even with our first client.
Okay. So, what was the journey after PC Jewelers did a pilot with you?
Once we did the pilot, one of the most memorable incident for me is that during the pilot we would take testimonials from real people who are coming to the stores, and that was validation number two. Because a client is paying great, but if your end customer is not adapting it, will a client number two pay as well or not? And there were these women, and earlier I thought that probably because Snapchat and Instagram is so popular amongst the youngsters, this will be fascinating for a millennial. But PC Jeweler was showing this to women above 45, 50. And there was this one lady who said that I come from a middle class background. So when I enter a showroom, it is very overwhelming for me. But at the same time, I'm always very skeptical to ask sales guy for a lot of options, because I feel I will be judged. The sales guy will think that I don't have the money to buy all of it, but I'm still seeing it. And that lady said, but through your product, I don't have that fear anymore. I can try as many jewelry as I want without the fear of being judged. And these testimonials, these feedback gave us confidence at another level, because I think people were adapting to it. And also, there was an emotional aspect attached to it. Like one lady said, she saw the jewelry on herself, and she said, "Oh my God, I never thought I will see something like this on my neck, but I'm seeing it." So,
Hmm.
and those expressions and those comments were priceless.
From PC Jeweler to, uh, I think, how many clients do you have now?
160 jewelers.
Okay. So, from that one jeweler to 160 jewelers, how did that journey happen?
So, even though the owner of PC Jeweler, liked it and was ready to pay, we realized that it was very difficult to convince jewelers, or in fact convince anyone to pay for technology in India. And when we would take our solution to these jewelers, most of them would either not consider this as something that will help them, or were a little skeptical. So everyone wants to know who are the first movers, right? So I think it took us almost 6 months to get 10 clients. And post that, we participated in this exhibition called Jaipur Jewelry Show that happens in Jaipur. And we did this huge setup where, so, our technology works. At that time, it used to work only on an iPad, where a jeweler can put their entire inventory and anyone can come in front of it and try the entire collection. So what we did was we mirrored it to a much larger screen. When people came and tried on there, the whole experience was wow. A lot of people, lot of media companies wrote in Jaipur that time that this is the highlight of the show. That was a 3-day event, and in those 3 days, we got 30 more jewelers. So that was like a transformation to the company, because from 10 jewelers in 6 months to 30 jewelers in 3 days was something that made us believe that this is something that is for the long run. Post that, we also were connected to Tanishq, who was working with us. And the first time Tanishq took Mirrar to something that is out of space. So usually jewelers would use it in their stores. Tanishq for the first time took it to Bridal Asia, where they would have this technology. And at that time, Padmavat movie had come, where Deepika Padukone was wearing jewelry by Tanishq. And we had put all of those jewelry digitally there. People were surprised and happy, and totally enjoying seeing all the jewelry by Padmavat collection on themselves. That is how we realized that this can also work very beautifully at spaces with highest footfalls. And then Tanishq also took it to two airports in India, which was Delhi and Bangalore. They created this really huge Victorian style setup, which was more of a dressing room kind of setup, where people would again, the tablets were mirrored to larger screens that look like mirrors. And I think that was the changing time, because almost everyone who got to know about it were like, oh my God, this is innovative. Because no one ever, this was more like a zero inventory store. Imagine hundreds of jewelry by Tanish could be tried on at these airports without any physical jewelry. This was something that
Hmm.
got us that gave us actually more validation in the whole jewelry industry. Everyone, every jeweler, every conferences started talking about this, and I think that is how more and more jewelers starting reaching out to us. Also, I think because of our product and our service, and also the kind of relationship we build with our clients, even today I think 60% of our clients are through reference. So that is how it grew. Yeah, and today, from then to now, I think not just in India, but people across the world, and we were invited by some of the top jewelry exhibitors in the world. So we were a part of GCK Las Vegas that happened in Vegas, and we were recently invited by In Horgenta, which is in Germany, in their retail innovation zone. So I think, this is something that has been taken up as an innovation, and something that will disrupt the shopping experience of people in the jewelry industry by not just the community or the jewelers in India, but across the world.
Okay. How big is your team now? And like, what is the split? How many people are in sales? How many in operations? How many in technology?
So we are a
Hmm.
team of 26 people now, out of
Hmm.
which 9 are in tech, then 8 are in sales, others are for operations, marketing, and accounts.
Okay. And your client base is like, how much is domestic? How much is international? Have you like gone international aggressively?
So we haven't gone international aggressively. 98% of our clients are from India. We have a couple of clients in New York, South America, Singapore, and Dubai, and Nepal recently. We've just raised, we are looking to raise funds where we can go global, because obviously going global takes far more than what sitting here we can do. So we do not have a team. We do not have an international team currently, but we have full plans to go global now, especially after COVID.
Okay. When a client comes up to you, tell me about the journey of the client. What exactly, like, do you physically take the jewelry and click photos and then upload it? Or, how does it happen?
Most of the clients did not have their jewelry digitized when we reached out to them. That was an early stage. We don't go and physically click it, but we have partnered with different photographers and vendors who would go to a client's showroom, click the pictures, edit it in the requirement that we have. So for a jewelry to be tried on in augmented reality, it's important that it needs to be shot and digitized in certain way. For example, if a necklace is not shot on a neck dummy, then it will not take contour of the neck and it will not fit your, right? So there are certain guidelines that we have, which we train these photographers or the brand's team if they want to shoot it internally. Once the photography is done and the editing is made, the brand is supposed to add data. So everything that you see on Mirrar is works on real time. The biggest challenge for online shopping is that if a earring is looking big, you don't know how big it's going to look on your ears. So by data, I mean the size of the jewelry, especially earrings. And we take the size, pricing, gold weight, diamond weight, whatever the client want to show to the end customer. Once that is taken, there is a dashboard that we provide to the clients. For the first version, we do it ourselves to just help the client, and we add the data, and that is it. You are ready to go. It is on an iPad. You can put it on your counter in the store. You can choose to mirror it to a larger screen. You can have sales guys go from house to house to share new designs. You can put it, at an airport, or you can put it at an airport or at a shopping mall.
So, is your pricing like a monthly, like per item of inventory, or is it like a flat rate, or what is the pricing like?
So
Hmm.
it's a SaaS model, and we charge on per license. So per license, one license works on one device, and that is how we charge. We charge yearly and not monthly.
Okay. So it depends on how many devices a jeweler wants rather than inventory size or something like that.
Yes, yes. So when it comes to online, which we are doing now, so we have launched Mirrar also on online, where it can be integrated to any website or a app. So if today you go and see a PC Jeweler or a Tanishq or a Hazurila Legacy website, you can just try any product from the comfort of your house in any browser. In that case, we charge on per SKU because there is a server cost when the number of SKUs increases. If you go and see Tanishq website, you will see every product that has a try on button, and currently more than 5,000 SKUs have try ons, I guess. You will see how the experience is extremely intuitive. But as the number grows, the server cost increases, and that is how we charge on per SKU then. But when it is a in-store model, we charge on per device.
Okay. So now it is no longer restricted to an iPad alone, as you said that on any browser,
No.
I can just open the website and
Yeah, you can download an app. You can download the app. You can open on any browser, whether on your phone, on your laptop, on your iPad, and try out from across the world. So that is the reason now it is totally revolutionizing.
okay. So how has COVID like impacted your business, either negatively or positively?
I would say it's a blessing in disguise. I know it's bad to say, but like COVID is terrible. What it's doing to the entire economy and the health of people. But in terms of business, I think it has made people believe in going digital. Augmented reality is one of the most powerful things people are using during COVID. Yeah, I think, the inquiries have increased by 100x. The number of clients who are converting and on a daily basis who wants to integrate AR to their businesses is growing on a daily level. And yeah, I think not just in jewelry, but post COVID, every retail, especially every retail industry, is looking to create touchless
Right.
experiences basically. So if you look at jewelry, I mean, I am right now scared to even touch my lift. Can you imagine me going to a jewelry store and say, okay, let me try everything that's there? Because I will always think that who's worn it before me. Is it sanitized or not? And those are the reasons which make people, integrate AR because they will be able to give a contactless experience. So I think this is the best time for any brand to adapt AR, and I think jewelry industry in that way is becoming extremely progressive.
What other applications do you see for AR in retail beyond jewelry, which you think are in your horizon that you want to target next?
Coincidentally, there are two categories that we have just launched, or like we've not announced, but we are launching, which is eyewear and watches. So we are working on glasses now. So you can now try thousands of glasses without physically wearing it from any part of the world. The other point is, and this is very interesting because no other company, or actually very few companies, have done markerless tracking of hands. So when it comes to face, because of your eyes and your nose and your lips, there are a lot of people who are working on face recognition technology. But when it comes to your
Right.
hand, your wrist, people don't know where to track. So lot of brands, and especially the watches brand that were working on augmented reality, would work on an QR based sticker. So there is a QR based sticker that you're supposed to print out, put it on your wrist, and when you point that wrist to a tech, it can make you try watches. We are one of the first ones to do it with markerless. We've introduced it, we've announced it on different social platforms, where without any marker, without any marker tracking, you just point your wrist and you will be able to try thousands of watches, bracelets, rings, anything that is to do with hands. So I think these innovation are going to bring us more close towards our bigger vision and dream, which is revolutionizing the entire shopping experience in the fashion retail. And I think post COVID, this is also becoming the new normal.
So, for a young techie who's say just finishing up graduation, why would you recommend them to look at a career in AR, and how can they be qualified to have a career in AR? Like, what kind of technology stack should they study about, or is there some certification that they should be doing?
So I think Apple, most important thing is Apple has launched AR Kit, which has made things very, very easy and convenient for developers to start working on AR. Also, I think anyone with that whole zeal and passion to work on it, we'll just find a way to do it. Because see, when Akhil started working on AR, he did not have a qualification. Like I call him child prodigy, and I think he had a zeal that okay, whatever comes his way, and especially if it's a challenge, he'll just find a way to get it done. So even though our technology is not on AR kit, but I know a lot of people, and especially since your question is on around someone who wants to start up, I think AR kit from Apple can be a great way to just start. And that zeal to just, compile things and make it happen.
Hmm, hmm. So, how big is Style.me now? Like, what is your turnover if that is something which you can share?
Yes, so we met our first milestone. I would call it of crossing 1 crore revenue in 1920, which was this year.
Congratulations.
So some people might think it's too less, but I think 1 crore is everyone's milestone, and that's what we achieved. And this year we are looking to do at least 4x. So yes, that's where we are, and I think with the kind of clientage, with the kind of way market is evolving, and contactless is becoming the new normal. I think we will be able to hit that very soon.
So, in order to do 4x, what all do you need to build internally in your organization? Like, what kind of capabilities or what kind of people do you need to hit 4x?
So, when it comes to product, because of Akhil, we already have the best tech team, I would say. And he's constantly working hard on getting more people for machine learning and analytics so that we are able to be more accurate. So, see, I think because augmented reality is all about experience, the only companies that has flawless experience are going to survive. And that is one thing that we are constantly looking to hire people for. Another thing that we were looking, because so far we did zero marketing, and our only marketing was through social media that we would do internally, and the only way we got these clients were through references. So another thing that we've got now is that we've hired someone who takes care of our marketing and our content that goes. The third thing which I would say is extremely important is creating processes. And I've always questioned myself, and we always brainstorm within the team that what will it take us to reach from 150 jewelers to 1500 jewelers? Okay. And I think one of the most important answer, and that's the only way to grow and scale, is to automate. So far, a lot of our deployments and execution is all it's all manual. So someone from the team will call, someone will do X work, someone will do validation or a quality check. Someone will help a jeweler answer questions multiple times. But what if we automate it? Like for example, I'm using Adobe Photoshop, right? I don't reach out to Adobe team to resolve my questions or queries, right?
Right.
It's done in such a beautiful way that it's all automated, it's all there on internet. So this is one of the most important thing I would say that we are now looking to build, and that is create everything that is in automation, build strong processes so that we are able to scale at that level.
You want clients to do more of self-service to get onboarded with.
Yes, because also we are looking at a global market. So, and especially in COVID right now, we can't have our teams traveling, etc. So, that's the only way. If I want like tomorrow to have 1,000 jewelers, signing up on a weekly basis or a daily basis, it's impossible for me to have a team of 10,000 people. So, probably the best way is to build the product in a way that people find it extremely easy and convenient to use it. So, yeah, that's what we're
Okay.
doing.
Okay. And have you cracked how to do sales? Like, is it you personally who are the best salesperson in the company, or is it just that the product is attracting clients automatically and you don't need to do sales?
We definitely would need to do sales. And yes, I am doing sales currently. People say I'm a good salesperson. I don't know how because I never studied sales. But I think sales is all about communicating how a problem can be solved and how a client is going to benefit from it. So I think post COVID, a lot of people are coming on their own, but also we have to have a very, very strong sales strategy. And I don't mean strategy by like just calling 1,000 people a day. but also what do you convey, how do you convey, and what are you really selling? So, for example, I don't think we are selling technology. We are selling experience. We are selling the way your customers are going to start using it. We are selling the way you're going to make more sales. So I think all of that is more important. And yes, I think I'm one of the not best, but yeah, I'm a decent salesperson. Only because I have been able to convey these stories and convey the value proposition to the clients in a much stronger way.
How do you get access to clients? Is it through networking? Is it through cold calling? Or what's your secret?
When I started, it was through networking. So I would find out the top management people on LinkedIn. Either I would try writing to them or I would find a connect through my LinkedIn connect. Also because Indian Angel Network is one of the largest angel network in India, and because we are funded by them, I always seek help, because if there is any way they are connected to someone who can help me connect, that's the way I started going. Now, what I do is I constantly ask my clients for a reference. So, if, for example, a client I'm working with and I know he's happy with our job, I will just request him to connect me to his friends, and that is how we grow our network. There are times when clients themselves write to me saying, "Hey, my friend also saw my product and they also want to use it. Can you please talk to them?" So these are the three important ways that we reach out to people. Cold calling happens, but not so much. We try to find a connect. I think that has been one of the most important part and journey of our sales. My only advice that is that, and this is something that I have learned over the period of time, is that I am only focusing on building a product that is giving value, giving me money, revenue. So revenue from client is something that every investor looks in.
This can be a chicken and egg story. You need investment to build a product, and at the same time, you need a good product to attract investment. How do you
This
kind
was the
of
same
break
situation
this?
when I started up, right? Like I did not have money and all that. So I think to build a good product, you have to identify the things that you need, right? It can be a tech co-founder, it can be someone who will market it for you. So the way I did it was do some freelancing work, get some money unless I get funded, and keep the show going, right? Or you take loans or money from friends and family, or you raise, you have to just find and identify people who believes in what you're doing, and get like a small round of funding and just get started. I believe that money should not stop you from doing what you want to do. So to raise funds from an investor, if you feel you need to show traction, go and do that. Or if you feel that okay, you can reach out to at least a couple of investors who will believe in your vision and your entire story and the product that you're building, then just raise a small amount and try and go big.
Okay. So when you're raising funds from someone like IAN, Indian Angel Network, how much effort do you need to put in to do projections and financial number crunching and show that I will do this much revenue by this date and this is how the funds will get used? Do you need to do a lot of that, or do you need to be good at storytelling?
I think storytelling is most important, followed by all these numbers. So to be very honest, yes, I did lot of work on how I'm going to use the money, where I'm going to put the money, what kind of people I'm going to hire. I gave whole projection of probably 3 years of how I'm going to grow from probably zero customer to 1 million downloads, right? But end of the day, even investors know, and they know it very very clearly, that every projection does not turn to be reality. So I think especially at an early stage, and angel investors, what they look in is something which is a very strong product. And is your problem solving a real problem? Sorry, if your solution is solving a real problem. If the answer is yes, I think there are more than, like, there are enough people who would want to invest, just looking at your product, your conviction, and your vision.
Beyond Campus is a production of the Podium.in, powered by Career Launcher. If you like this show, then we are sure that you will love our other shows on subjects like entrepreneurship, marketing, books, and drama. Check out the Podium.in for a complete list of all our shows.